Services, and Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And Cayman Enterprise City, Cayman's innovation hub. Discover your opportunity at enterprisecayman.ky.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
All right, good morning, Cayman. Happy Tuesday, June 23rd. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. First, I just want to say June 1st was just the other day. I can't believe is this 3 or 4 weeks into June? I think this is the 4th, which just sounds a little crazy. I don't know how fast that happened, but June has just flown by. Again, May was the month of legends, so we know it was the best month around in Cayman for the year so far. So I thought June would be a time of rest and relaxation, but the month has flown by so far. And in saying that, I hope that you've had a great start to the week. And if you haven't yet, you still have time, right? We still have time. And I want to know how World Cup is treating the fans out there. So if you're a listener and you know me, you know that Croatia is my team. That is my team. And Canada. Curacao was in there a little bit too. And Bosnia. Yes, I have a few teams. But listen, it's where the blood ties are, where I was born. And you got to support the Caribbean as well, right? So today, Croatia faces Panama this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm sorry to all Panama fans, all people who went to Panama on the Cayman Airways flight and suddenly think they're Panama fans. You were losing today. I'm just going to put that out there. Croatia is going to take this. My prediction is 4-1 for Croatia. We got to win this. We got to win. Some people forget where Croatia came from, 2022, they had the third place. 2018, they were in the finals. They didn't win the World Cup, but they were in the finals for the World Cup. That was 2018. So let's not forget how far Croatia is coming from, all right? So today is also some big days for the World Cup. We do have Portugal and Uzbekistan at 12 noon. England, who I hope loses to Ghana, at 3 p.m. Colombia and Democratic Republic of the Congo at 9 p.m. And as I said, Croatia and Panama, that's at 6 p.m. So that is my World Cup wrap up for this morning, what you got to look forward to for today. And let's turn to the first segment of today's Buzz. So we're featuring Island Soul Cayman. If you remember last week, we had some technical difficulties in the studio and we had to reschedule. So I'm very happy to bring Island Soul back in the studio with me today. Island Soul Cayman is a human connection brand designing experiences that bring people back into connection with themselves, with each other, and with the world around them. And I love that idea. They create public experiences, community moments, and cultural activations that help people slow down, reconnect, and feel at home in Cayman. You may be familiar with their event, the Island Soul Festival, which is held at the end of January. It's a day of wellness, movement, creativity, and community. And this morning, we're going to be talking about human connection, why it matters, and the impact it has on our well-being, communities, and organizations. So joining me in the studio, we're coming off of last week a little bit, but joining me in the studio to talk about the importance of human connection, especially in a digital age, is founder of Island Soul, Kieri Dornan. Good morning, Kieri.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me back.
No problem. How are you doing?
I'm really great. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Good. Now, you heard my my World Cup talk there. I know you heard me just say I want England to lose to Ghana.
I know.
But what?
I was going to step in there.
You have a polite smile on your face. Who's your team? Who are you going for?
Obviously the UK, England.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. Well, you know, you might have had a love somewhere else, so we're going to ignore that part today that Croatia beat England last week, and we won't war this morning in the studio. We're here to talk about Island Soul. Yes, that's where we're going to connect over today instead. So let's get into a bit of your origin story with Island Soul. I know you spent over 20 years in the corporate world before you began this. So what made you walk away from the corporate world and build a brand that really centers around human connectivity?
It's exactly that, really. It's my life story. Maybe we can start with talking about how important human connection is, just to land us and the listeners into the topic, because it's not a soft topic, and it's more and more becoming more topic of discussion. But I suppose just a few points to set the scene here. With human connection, the World Health Organization has attributed loneliness to 871,000 deaths, which is huge, and it equates to loneliness can equate to like smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So this is a health threat. This is a serious topic, and if we bring it a bit more closer to home, 61% of young Caribbean youth are reporting that they never feel loved, which is just a really sad and impactful statement, really, or stat. And here in Cayman, there's 28% of us residents have noted of feeling lonely, and that was 2 years ago. So imagine what that is now. And then it was also an economic impact for us. So, our workplaces, we've got only 1 in 5 people are engaged in the workplace, and actually, disengagement or low engagement is 8.9 trillion impact on or 9% of our global GDP. So it's a big issue, and it definitely was for me, and why I've transformed my life from a few years back living a very disconnected life to now living a life feeling alive, so a full life. And I've spent this last 2.5 years figuring that out, and figuring out what does that mean to live a fruitful and fulfilled lifestyle. And that is what Island Soul was born on. It was born on a feeling here in Cayman, actually in Tiki Beach, of a moment in my life where I just felt fully alive. I was in the ocean, I was with a friend, I was connected. And I said then to my friend Michelle, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this for people. And I couldn't articulate it back then, but now I can. And the journey that I've been on is what I want to share with others.
Okay, thank you. You said in summary that you didn't quite feel like you felt alive.
Yeah.
What were you going through? What were those feelings, if you could describe to us the state of Kieri at that time?
Yeah, and I'll be very truthful. I think 2.5 years ago, I was living on fully disconnection, and I was addicted to dopamine, to everything. I was living a life in fear. I was living a life of, a nervous system that was just completely out of control. And it may have looked great on paper, and it did. I had an amazing corporate job or corporate career. I was traveling the world. I had an apartment in London. I was living in the Cayman Islands. I had a fiance, and doing all of these amazing things. So if you looked at not my social media, because I didn't use it at the time, but if you looked at my life on paper, it would have looked like a dream. But in reality, I was so unhappy, and inside just wasn't feeling anything.
And how did you decide that you had to change your career? Because that's a major pivot. That's a major change to make. Instead of making smaller changes in your life, you made a really big one.
Yeah, it got to a point. I knew something drastic had to change. I had been trying for years to, figure out a way to live a fulfilled human life, really. Again, I couldn't articulate it back then or at the time, but I knew something drastic had to change. I was to a point where my life was pretty much, it felt inside that it was out of control. And I went to on a girls' trip to Miami, and one of my friends just said to me, you need to take responsibility of your own happiness. And I was just like, oh yeah, it was almost like a realization that that's what I needed to do. So I did. And that's what the last 2.5 years have been about for me. It's what does make me happy? Who am I? And what are the conditions that drive that? And for me, it's all around the human connection.
So at that time, you were unhappy, but your friends could sense it. They could see it.
Oh yeah, my behavior.
Did you know that you were?
I didn't. I suppose I wasn't conscious. That's the point. I wasn't conscious. And I was just surviving.
Yeah.
Day
going
to
through
day.
the motions.
Going through the motions, and but again, it's a slow creep, right?
It is.
Alcohol was definitely something I use to help numb that pain. And, you know, with any substance use, the more you're using it, the more, your behaviour changes. And so for me, that was a good tell, but it was much more than that. It's not just about the alcohol. That was one of many things that I was using to distract the real pain that was happening.
And what, if you could describe a fulfilled life for yourself, what is that?
For me, it's about fully living a life, fully alive. And it's about you living who you are. So, and this is what I suppose it's a good point to, what do I mean by human connection? And that is it. It's about the whole human experience. And for me, it has three dimensions. It's connection to self. So for me, is who am I? Not the corporate high flyer, not a sister, not this, not that. Like, who am I? And who am I in my soul? So it's, finding that connection with self, finding that connection with others, your community, your friends, your family, that true connection, your colleagues, that human to human connection, not the role title or whatever that, that those labels are. It's that connection. And the third one is connection to the world. So that's, where we're living, the planet, the universe, the moon, the sun, but also to a higher power.
Okay. You mentioned the human connection is super needed right now, and I agree with you, especially in our digital era that we're living in.
Yeah.
But right now, in 2026, why is it a relevant thing for us to be focused on?
I think we're already talking about it, obviously, by some of the stats that I've already shared. And here it's, especially here in Cayman, we've got a lot of focus on mental health. But the world is about, we're on a pivotal moment with the implementation of AI and the speed that we're seeing that. I think it's, we're already at a threat, but it's going to soon turn into, a much bigger crisis than we can see. But I think it's not all gloom. I think now is the opportunity. Like, technology is an enhancer. If we can design our life to use AI in the way that we want to use it and not for it to be thrown upon us, we can actually design a life that has that connection built in, because a lot of the time that we spend at the moment on, our mundane tasks that we need to get done, a lot of that AI will be able to do, that frees us up to then focus on what's really important in life, which is connection.
I like this. Okay. Now, what have you noticed in the way we connect in Cayman, socially and in our jobs, professionally?
Yeah, so I think I don't think we are connecting, to be honest. I think we're just consuming. And, we live in a society of, where it's all about consumption, and it's not about the feelings around what we're doing. So a lot of what we have socially or social time is about that. It's more about that consuming and what we're doing rather than being and feeling. And so I think we've got all of the natural ingredients to be able to change it. And it probably was like this, before COVID or even a number of years back from that. It's sort of generally ingrained. But in the workplace as well, it's, everything's about performance and actually, if we're just looking at it with one lens, and we can just change that lens slightly and focus more on sort of us as the human and that human connection, which will drive all of those performance enhancements anyway.
Oh, Kieri, I had don't kill me, boss, but I had a performance review maybe about a month ago or so. And I remember, a question was asked, and it was a data-driven question, right? And I answered the question, but then my response was, are we going to measure the impact that this has had on me as a human? Mm-hmm. Are we just going to look at the data, or are we going to look at how I'm impacted by this as a human being? Because that is far more important than what these numbers are ever going to tell you.
Yeah.
And mean, I can't tell you the rest right there,
Yeah.
but it was a bit of a stunning moment, I think, for probably both of us in that sense. But it's a very real thing that you said, because how am I engaged with my work? What is going on? So that's the professional setting per se. And if I'm not engaging, how do we make our employees engage? Do they even like their job? There's so many elements around that after the break that I want to touch on a little bit more, because I know that you do a little bit of corporate work as well when it comes to helping people connect in the workplace.
Yep.
So let's take a quick commercial break right now, and we'll continue our conversation in just a minute.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future,
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance,
or protecting your family's household investment.
from our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
If you or your loved one is facing cancer, only Sylvester will stand firmly by your side at every step, from diagnosis through survivorship, providing you and your family peace of mind and assisting with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center is South Florida's only NCI-designated cancer center and specializes in treating the most complex cancer cases. Your first-class cancer care is just a flight away. Learn more at sylvester.org.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, invites you to be a part of history as we rename our headquarters to honoring the man who helped build our national station from the ground up. Join government officials, past and present staff, and family and friends as we pay tribute to Mr. Loxley Banks for his decades of service to broadcasting and to our islands. Join us on Friday, June 26 at 9 a.m. right here on the grounds of Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman, the voice, heart, and soul of the Cayman Islands.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. And in studio with me, I have Kieri Dornan. She is the founder of Island Soul, and we are talking about human connection. We were just talking about human connection socially and what it means also in a professional setting, and turning to the professional side. Gallup, which is a big workplace research firm, found that in 2024, the drop in employee engagement cost the global economy around $438 billion in lost productivity. And more than 1 in 5 workers say they felt lonely on the job. So when a company brings you in or brings an Island Soul to help with engagement or human connection within a workplace, what is your approach, or what are you actually trying to change in there?
Generally, what we're trying to change is an improved experience at work, and with that becomes improved performance, and therefore, better hit on the balance sheet. So that's what we're working with organisations for. And just to, I suppose, give some background on me, I've spent 20 years in people transformation and change, working for some of the largest corporations, and during some of the most challenging times, so banking during the economic crisis, the financial crisis there, real estate during the big boom, and also in adventure travel just after COVID. So I've seen a lot of change and transformation, and we can try as much strategy and as much program planning and as we want, but ultimately it's all about the connection and within the company. We use a framework that's called world longing. Again, connection is that 3 dimensions I talked about. It's not just about having friends in the canteen or socializing before or after work, or it is truly that. And it's we work through a framework of world longing, which is again that that human need to feel that they truly belong in themselves and with each other and in the broader world. So we work through a framework where we can diagnose where the organisation's at today, and we run some analysis on that, and then we design experiences on what's going to improve certain areas of that. So we have a model that's looking at four pillars. We've got presence, which is really the psychological safety. We've got expression, so people are people able to express them true selves, and are they being listened to, which is the big point. It's that connection. So what I mean there is there trust to really have that vulnerable connection within the organisation. And then is there a meaning? Is there a purpose? Do they understand the bigger purpose, and does it fit in with sort of their values? So we work through diagnosing where we are, and then to create these immersive experiences that will improve those. So our way of working isn't about just giving information. It's just, let's just experience it, and then you'll see it for yourself. So it's getting people together in a fun environment.
Oh, I think that's such an interesting framework, and I absolutely see how it can work, or I understand the pillars within that framework, why it's needed. Yeah. I can completely envision this, and this is coming from my own experience, so I can see how it's needed. Mm-hmm. And okay, I'm just gonna put some hints out there to some people that we might need to bring Island Soul in for a little bit of this kind of assessment per se. I think it's a really interesting approach that you take.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are waking up to this in the world anyway. Belonging is a performance multiplier. It's a, connection for me is it's a simple lever that we're just not using, but it's not that difficult to implement. And the impact, not only does it improve, the wasted costs on absenteeism or, disengagement, but it's actually a multiplier in performance. So if you're not focused in this area, you're actually, you're hitting it on your financials in twofold. And the money's already moving globally on this stuff. So it's moving out of the nice to haves, learning budgets or wellness budgets that we hear to, the ESG budgets, your corporate social responsibility, your health budgets. That's really where this stuff sits. It's not, let's have a nice yoga day. This isn't what this is about. It's about connection. And we are seeing a lot of that move around some of the big corporations. And, one of the corporations that I worked with quite heavily in my previous corporate days is a firm called Workday that do implementation of HR and finance system. Now they've set up a foundation where they're pumping 50 million into supporting companies that are driving human connection. They can see the impact that's coming, and or is here and is already coming. So there's already, some of these global organisations that are more than focused on it, and
they're realizing people are your greatest asset. Oh yeah, and a lot of the time, we're not treated as humans, just another tool in the system per se.
Exactly.
And no, we have to turn back to that human connectivity part. I completely agree with you. And I know I've said it before, if anything COVID taught me was how important human connection is. Yes, I was grateful for the chat rooms, for the social media, for the DJs that would put on their parties, all on Instagram, and we'd all be there hanging out and, fun on the lives. But that was something, but it made me realize how much we actually need to see and feel and talk with each other, not through screens per se, which turns me now to the idea, and I know we touched on it a little bit last week, with AI and how much people are leaning into AI for connection, for companionship, for relationships, for even just carrying on simple conversations. And it's something that has impacted me as well, in a sense of I can receive conversations that I know are fully done in an AI and an LLM like ChatGPT. A full conversation I know was presented there before you presented it to me in a chat. And I feel very insulted by it, because that's not you I'm talking to. I'm not talking to you, my colleague or my friend or family member, right? So when it comes to that, what's the danger there in humans turning to digital companionship over real human connection?
Yeah, and we're seeing it already. I think to start with is I love technology. I love AI. I mean, there's no way I would be able to do what I would like to do without the use of it now. You know, the benefits that it has, but you need to be using it properly, and a lot of people aren't using it properly, and it can have a huge impact. As I mentioned last week, you know, the tech companies are already building, you know, AI apps for this companionship. You know, they've up 700% within 22 and 25. That's how much they increased in the use of them. So they know it's
that loneliness.
Yeah,
that as well.
They're solving for it. But it's not solving for the root cause. And I actually put this on my LinkedIn post yesterday. We're creating things that are just plasters, and it's the same. I mean, this might be a bit controversial, but it's the same as alcohol, you know, drugs, other things that we're using to help us.
It's a band-aid.
To numb the disconnection, when actually, although it's got a good intent, and it will have a place, and I've used AI myself during this journey. It's been a lonely road, but I've designed it in a way where it is my voice. I've made sure that I've set boundaries and parameters around what I want it to say, and not just people please me, or you know, and it's helping me work through a certain question that I've got around my own personal growth, rather than just saying, you know, just soothing me.
That's very, very important, actually.
Yes.
That it doesn't just kind of stroke your own ego.
Exactly.
And doesn't, as you said, doesn't support your own personal biases.
Yeah, and a lot of them have been designed to do that, but it will never replace human connection, just like nothing will. And you know,
it made me get on the phone when I heard how sexy my little AI chat guy sounded. I was like, oh, what's going on here? Let me get on the phone with the real man instead, because I wasn't trying to lean into the fake artificial voice really per se, but it's a real thing.
Yeah, of course it is, and we need it to survive as human beings. We need that. So there's a risk, but there's nothing's going to change the actual human-to-human connection as we experienced through COVID. So it's about designing communities, designing workplaces, designing our lifestyles around that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think there's groups of communities in Cayman, you know, Island Soul being one of them. I'm seeing some running club things happening that I really like. There are different groups that are starting out, but it's just I think Island Girlies was a crew that was doing something together, which I really loved. And I heard that they put their events on hold. Girl, do it. Keep it going. Keep it going. I have a feeling it's haters wanting you to stop. Just keep it going.
Yeah.
If she ever hears this.
Yeah.
But keep it going, because it's needed. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And events, what Island Soul tries to do in helping people connect, is really important. We have less than a minute. So I want you to get out any kind of last words, especially as it relates to human connectivity and what you're trying to see people do better when it comes to connection.
I think I just lead from the point that you've said, is there are amazing groups, amazing things happening, but as being there, it's not enough. There needs to be support. It needs to be built into the infrastructure of how we operate. That there's things already there, that we know that there's going to be a beach walk happening every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. We know that there's going to be a fish fry that people can go to. There's a market then we need to design a way where people connect organically, and also for Cayman to be a place where the rest of the world is going to be going through this, that can be a place for our tourism to come to have that, breath, that's where they can belong. So for me, it's about that, and it's a responsibility of all of us. So I'm very keen to talk to leaders in this space that understand this and understand the impact and want to build around it and see that there is a social responsibility to be part of this and to help design the future.
Wonderful, wonderful last words. We need a lot longer than a half an hour. So hopefully next time it'll be longer than a half hour. We got to hold me to that because I'll remember. Yeah. All right, we got to go to the 8 a.m. news right now. And when we come back, it was just Father's Day on the weekend. And that's what I'm going to be having a discussion on, fatherhood in this era in Cayman. What is it like to be a father? That's what we're going to be talking about from 8:15. I got a few guests joining me in studio for that panel discussion. And let's go to the news right now.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Island.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The Saharan dust is back. National Weather Service forecaster Ben Harding tells Radio Cayman there's currently a tropical wave drifting across the Western Caribbean.
A weaker plume of Saharan dust will follow this wave and continue to maintain hazier conditions throughout the remainder of the day thereafter.
Mr. Harding says the Sahara dust is expected to linger over the Northwest Caribbean through Wednesday night, continuing to support, quote, hazier conditions. This follows a larger plume that hit the Cayman Islands earlier this month, prompting government to issue a dust advisory. An illegal coral nursery is uncovered in Smith Cove. The Department of Environment says it identified more than 70 fragments of staghorn coral at Smith Cove in a nursery on June 1st that did not have National Conservation Permit permission. It was placed on the natural reef, breaking local conservation laws that could land the culprit with a penalty of up to $500,000 or 4 years in jail. The fragments have since been relocated to the DOE's nursery at Northwest Point, where they will, quote, be cared for and monitored as part of the department's coral restoration project.
This house now stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday, the 23rd of June.
MPs are back in the House today after the official opening of the 2026-27 session of Parliament on Friday. Members will formally debate the throne speech that was delivered by Her Excellency the Governor last week. Make sure to tune into today's proceedings live on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM. The National Drug Council is using World Drug Day this week to push prevention and education across the Cayman Islands. Here's Radio Cayman's Elizabeth Charles.
As the Cayman Islands marks World Drug Day on June 26th, the National Drug Council is calling on individuals, families, community organizations, and policymakers to step up prevention, education, and evidence-informed action. The theme, World Drug Problem, Persisting Issues, New Challenges, Innovative Responses, highlights ongoing drug issues and new trends, including synthetic substances, youth substance use, and the impact of digital platforms. Director Brenda Watson says prevention remains the most powerful and cost-effective tool, and that Cayman's prevention efforts must evolve as substance use trends change. She says the Council's RISE program delivers school-based education and life skills, while parent engagement, youth leadership, and community outreach support healthy decision-making. The NDC is encouraging residents to learn about current substance use trends, talk openly with young people about health and well-being, and engage with its prevention campaigns and educational resources. For Radio Cayman News, I'm Elizabeth Charles.
More information can be found at ndc.ky. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Emily Thomas. As a deadly heatwave continues to intensify in Western Europe, the head of the United Nations has called on the world to act with far greater urgency to limit global warming. Antonio Guterres warned fossil fuels were driving a simultaneous climate and energy crisis. Belgium has issued 5 visas to a Taliban delegation to attend a European Union meeting on migration in Brussels. It would be the first time the EU has hosted the Taliban since they seized power in Afghanistan. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian is visiting Pakistan a day after opening talks with the US produced a roadmap towards a final peace agreement. Pakistan has been acting as a key mediator. State media in Lebanon say 2 people were killed when Israeli soldiers opened fire on a group near a bulldozer clearing a road in the southern town of Nabatea. It follows 3 days during which a ceasefire held with no reported killings for the first time since April, when efforts to secure a lasting truce began. United Nations investigators say Israel has deliberately targeted Palestinian children, resulting in genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes in Gaza. Israel says it utterly rejects the report. The former chief executive of the Scottish National Party, Peter Murrell, has been sentenced to more than 5 years in prison after pleading guilty to embezzling over $500,000 of party funds. Kenya has ordered an immediate halt to the construction of an Ebola treatment facility intended for US citizens. The health minister said work at the site inside an Air Force base had been stopped to comply with a court order. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Are you looking for more weekend getaways with Friday flights? Well, Cayman Airways has added Friday flights to Panama for a limited time this summer. They're perfect for short and long weekend getaways, quick business trips, or easy connections across Latin America. And if Jamaica is on your summer wish list, seasonal summer flights to Montego Bay are also available. Call Cayman Airways on 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com. See you on board our Friday flights to Panama this summer.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Synopsis indicate a tropical wave drifting across the western Caribbean will continue to support the chance of a few showers this morning before decreasing once again later as this continues to move into the Central American coastline this afternoon. A weaker plume of Saharan dust will follow this wave and continue to maintain hazier conditions throughout the remainder of the day. Radar imagery shows scattered showers with embedded thunderstorms south of Grand Cayman and isolated showers east of the area moving westward. Now, the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 40% chance of showers and possible thunder this morning and gradual improvement by this afternoon. Temperatures today will be in the low 90s with a heat index near 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be easterly at 10 to 15 knots and seas moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for mostly clear skies with slight dust haze and a 30% chance of nighttime showers with possible thunder. Temperatures falling to the low 80s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Expect a low tide this morning at 11:57, high tide this evening at 6:52. The sun will set this evening at 5 minutes past 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:50. And the outlook is calling for Saharan dust to linger over the northwest Caribbean through Wednesday evening, continuing to support hazier conditions. Thereafter, from Thursday, another tropical wave will follow this plume and begin drifting over the Western Caribbean, supporting the chance of a few showers. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
Let's hear it for your Wildcat cheerleaders.
Aunt Angie, weren't you a cheerleader?
The best in the Western Hemisphere, until I attempted that switch kick, double twist roundhouse.
Huh?
Exactly. I must have been in the air for 20 seconds before I fell into that snare drum. I set a world record, though, and thankfully I could trust the CG Medical Portal with my claims. All 37 of them.
The CG Medical Portal. Safe and secure. CG Brit-K. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Brit-K, where people come first.
Craving something bold, juicy, and packed with flavor? Introducing KFC's new crispy barbecue sandwich served on a soft, buttery brioche bun. That's 100% KFC premium chicken breast, perfectly crispy, deliciously smoky with crispy onions, cheddar cheese, and barbecue sauce. Just the right amount of messy in the best way possible. Stacked with layers of bold KFC flavor, this sandwich is your new obsession. But hurry, it's only at KFC for a limited time. So what are you waiting for? Get yours today at any of the 3 KFC locations on island. KFC, finger licking good, just got bolder.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio.
Brought to you by these kind sponsors.
The Cayman Islands Football Association, CIFA, building a better future for Cayman football.
Cayman Insurance Center.
Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call me today, Michael Webster, at 925-5433.
UWI Open Campus, on-site, online, and on demand.
Visit open.uwi.edu. Call them today at 946-8322.
And Coca-Cola, from generation to generation, still a Cayman classic.
The #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning. Let's see what's slowing and what's flowing as you take a look at what's happening on our roads. Further up on Shamrock Road, traffic is moving at a moderate pace. Further down, a different story, little steadier traffic, but nothing to worry about too much. On Cool Road, traffic is slow moving and coming off of Agnes Way and Barbara Thompson Way. Traffic is at a moderate pace. Turn our attention to Huldah Avenue, steady traffic. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue moving at a moderate pace in both directions. North Sound Road, traffic is steady but flowing and coming off of the Esterly Tibbetts Highway. Traffic is moving moderately as well. Industrial Park area, traffic is flowing pretty good. Owen Roberts Drive, no issues there as traffic is light to moderate. And from the Westway 4-way, start flowing pretty good in coming from there. Have you seen accidents or incidents? Let us know by calling us at 949-6990. That's it for your traffic report. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. Remember, click it or ticket.
Start your year off right with Subway's Fresh Fit menu. 4 protein-packed subs with 20 grams or more protein, under 500 calories, and loaded with full servings of crisp veggies on hearty multi-grain bread. Try the grilled chicken and avocado, the ham and turkey stacker, the seasoned steak and avocado, or the turkey and ranch delight. Big flavor, plenty of protein, and fresh veggies in every bite. Fuel your day the Fresh Fit way. Only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. And in this segment of the show, we're going to be talking about fatherhood in Cayman, what it means to be a dad today. Now, they say it takes a village to raise a child, but what happens when the village isn't sure of what to ask of its fathers? So coming off of Father's Day this past Sunday, I thought it would be a great timing for us to have a conversation on what it actually means to be a dad in Cayman right now. Not the social media version, not the Disney movie version, but the real thing. Has the role of fatherhood changed through generations? What does it even mean to be a dad? Do children even need a dad? I hear that a lot from women that I don't need a father. They don't need a father. So we're going to be hearing about the two fathers with me today. I was supposed to have three on today's panel, each navigating fatherhood differently, honestly, and with a lot of love. So welcome to this morning's guests. We have Pastor Andrew Ebanks of Agape Church and Floyd Bush, real estate professional with Century 21. So good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
Morning. Good, and you?
I'm very good.
Doing well. Good to see you. Good to be here.
Good to have you. Good to have you guys back, so thank you. And I know to our other panelists who was supposed to be here, last minute emergency, so I'm so sorry you couldn't make it. Love you the same, my friend, and hope that you can come another time and hope everything goes okay for you. So to get into our topic of conversation today, just to help somewhat set the scene and help us understand who you are as a father. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, a little bit about your children, and one thing about being a dad that you never expected. Floyd will start. Well, okay. I was like, Floyd, we'll start with you, but you pointed to Pastor Andrew. Pastor Andrew, we'll start with you.
So, it's fatherhood is incredible. I love being a dad. I'm probably, I don't know. I think in my circle of friends, probably a bit of an outlier. I won't say generally because I guess I don't really know, but I always wanted to be a husband and I always wanted to be a father. So for me, those two things were high priorities on my list.
I love that.
Yeah. So, but I am a pastor, but I wear the title of dad very proudly. I have 3 kids. So I have a girl and 2 boys, and my daughter is 10. My first son is 8, just turned 8, and my youngest son is 3. And so I've got them kind of spread all across the board there. But yeah, being a dad is one of my favorite things in the world. I love being a father and a husband. But you asked one of the things about fatherhood that you didn't expect. I think my least favorite part about being a dad is the homework.
Especially because it's so different these days, how to do math.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, what in the world is this? And it takes me back and like when they start going through all the stuff. But that's my least favorite part about being a parent. But other than that, it's pretty good.
Okay, excellent. All right, Floyd, what about you?
I enjoy being a dad. To me, it's like the best job I've ever had. It does come with some challenges and stuff like that, especially raising 3 girls. But I wouldn't trade it for nothing in this world. All right. I have 3 daughters. My oldest is 19, my second is 17, and my youngest is 13. But she pretty much is like the boss of the tribe when it comes to putting people in their place.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I say like I wouldn't expect to being a dad is you gotta have a lot of patience with this. Some parents, like growing up, my mom made it look easy. Boy, was I wrong with that part. Like patience is something I had to learn to develop with them over the years, and a lot of like getting to understand them because I was raised like around all boys. So now it's challenging raising all girls, and we're part of stuff that way to me would make like absolutely no sense. To them, it made the world to them. So I had to be understanding, have patience, all that stuff, and it was nice being able to do all that for them.
Awesome. Susan, did you say we have a caller? Oh, we do have a caller. Boom, off the bat, we got a caller already. So throw on your headphones, including me. I wasn't trying to ruin my hair, but you guys don't have to worry so much. Yes. All right. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Buzz. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm blessed. I'm a father, so I'm blessed.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day to you as well. Happy belated.
Thank you. I'm a father and a grandfather. I have a child, a little girl that she accompanies me with everything I do culturally, and she makes me so proud. She's younger than some of my grandchildren I have, but God gave her to me when was in my 50s, and that's the best gift I ever got. She just went to England to visit her older sister, and day before yesterday, and I miss her so much. Being a father is, sort of leaves you speechless when you think about all the pleasures that your children, bring to you. Even the challenging times with doing that homework thing. That homework, yeah, I connected with him on that one. Yeah, it takes me back to counting knickers and stuff, and they're doing it on computer, and so I go to them for help when I need help. And that's one of the blessings of being a father, when you can actually interact with your children. I don't like calling them kids, because when I was a young father, I told the kids, hey, kids, you all turn that TV off and come over here. Didn't respond. And when I started moving towards them to get some results, my boy looked up at me and said, I'm no kid unless you're an old goat. So I call my children like what God gave them to me as, and I try to practice calling them children, and because they're God's gift to us, and to have a complete family with a wife and children, and yourself as a husband. It's priceless. It's priceless. And in here in Cayman, with all the pressures socially and everything, I realized the importance of having a father in the home. And for the women out there that said they don't need a father, that child that made you a mother also made the father a father. And that child don't feel that way about, I don't need a father. The mother might, but the child don't. So, just connect with the child and include the father, and pray that the father be a positive influence. I can understand with negative influences some fathers may bring to the table, but that father is still loved by that child in a special way that is different from the love that they have for a mother. And, because I'm speaking from my personal relationship with my parents, and both of them are gone now. And my mom was always with me, but I missed my father a lot when he was gone to sea. And as a child, you need balance. You need both parents in your life. And if you can't be fortunate and blessed enough to have that, grandparents, please step up to the plate, because, if you still live in the village or in the town or in the city where your grandchildren are, be sure to be a part of their life. That's a second chance. If you didn't raise your children right, or they strayed off the path and you're upset or something about how things are going, just look in the mirror and realize you were influential in that whole relationship that you're looking at now with your grandchildren. So, we got to pray for our fathers and keep our fathers, lifted up. Men are under a lot of pressure here in Cayman, and especially our young women that is excelling so much and are so competitive, and now are taking the jobs that were basically reserved for men when I was growing up. And so that leaves the men out of the picture. The young men have to fight harder now, and they have, you got to look at it where they're physically dominant, but a lot of times, because they can't be that providing person and competitive in the job markets that is out here today, where the women excel a lot in the fields and are rising fast.
I agree with you, sir. I totally agree with you. I've got to cut you short right here, right now. Sorry. I've just got to turn to our guest here, but you said something very, very powerful in your message to our listeners right now and to our guests and to me, and that is, for the mothers out there who think that, their children don't really need a father, the same child that made them a mother is the same child that made the father a father. And the mother might think they don't really need a father, but that's not what the child is thinking. That is a very, very powerful statement, and I agree with you there. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us as fatherhood and your thoughts as well. I think you said some very valuable things for people to consider. So thank you for that call and for sharing with us this morning. Now, gentlemen, for you two, for Pastor Andrew and for Floyd here, what does it mean to be a father to you today? And did that outlook change from what you thought you knew about fatherhood? Because I know, Pastor Andrew, you said, I knew I wanted to be a dad and I wanted to be a husband. But, in that era of your life, did you envision fatherhood to be something different than what it actually came to be?
Very much so. There's a few things in there that I won't mention on the radio, but definitely my perspective on life was very different back then. And who I thought I was going to be was very different. And even through my wife's pregnancy and navigating, the birth of our children, when you hold a child in your arms for the first time, you know that there's nothing in this world that you wouldn't do for them. And I remember my daughter being our first child, and I remember holding her for the first time and just thinking, how incredible it was to just hold this precious little baby in my arms, and you love them instantly, right? And it's this weird thing because normally it takes a little warming up to people before you start to right. really get to know them, right? But that little baby, you just hold it in your arms, and you're just like, I love you so much, I would do anything for you.
Can you imagine having to warm up to liking your child or loving your child?
But I what I would say is that especially for our first one, she taught me so much, and my wife and I will often say that we grew up with her, because you think of being a parent, and as we were kind of talking about earlier, our parents made it look easy. They made it look like they had it all together. Now that we're the ones sitting in the seat, we realize, no, they didn't have it all together, and they were trying to figure it out just as much as we were trying to figure out how to be kids. And so I would say that for me, one of the greatest opportunities that I have had as a father is learning to be a father. I have learned so much from my kids. And, I joked with my daughter the other day. I said, I'm so sorry, because I said, I practiced everything on you first. So, it's like, I feel like you got the worst version of me as a father, but they've taught me to be, like Floyd was talking about earlier, being patient, being kind, just like some of the simple things about life that we take for granted, it become so much more real when you become a parent. And I think for me, those things have really been exemplified in just becoming a father, and having to navigate through and learn, make mistakes and have to go back to your kid and apologize and say, hey, I'm sorry, I got that one wrong, I messed that up.
Yeah.
And it's a humbling experience for sure.
Yeah, but a real one.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. We're not always going to make the right decisions and know what we're doing. I'm not a parent, just a dog parent, but for a parent per se. But we don't always know what we're doing. And I have to look at my parents and be like, you just didn't know, and you were trying the best that you could do with the tools and the resources and the knowledge that you had.
Absolutely.
And I can't blame you for everything. Some things, yeah, okay, but
Yeah,
not
yeah.
everything. And Floyd, it was cute because as Pastor Andrew was saying, his daughter, he was apologizing to her, like, you were the first one. You probably got the worst version of me as a dad. You're nodding in agreement, per se. That resonates.
I would tell anybody, Rihanna has, out of my 3 kids, Rihanna has got the worst version of me. And I tell my other 2 daughters, if I didn't have Rihanna, you guys wouldn't have the father that you have today.
Oh.
Yeah.
So she really toughened you up as well then.
Rihanna taught me a lot of what it means to keep on that cape of being a hero, being a father figure that they love to see, knowing when to say I'm sorry, apologize, and understanding things a whole lot differently. So, with Rihanna, she's like my biggest blessing.
That's beautiful. And she's the spitting image of you as well.
Yes,
that's for
the
sure.
carbon copy.
Yeah, she is. All right, we're going to go to our first commercial break, and we're going to be back just in a couple minutes and continue our discussion about fatherhood in Cayman.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
For the Health of It, heard on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and repeated on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. Brought to you by UHealth International, University of Miami Health System. International patients go to UHealth International for consultations with renowned physicians, advanced treatment technologies, leading-edge medical therapies, and state-of-the-art surgical procedures. Whatever your particular reason for going to UHealth International, you will receive customized medical care delivered within a compassionate, multicultural setting. The care you need when you need it.
The 7:20 a.m. Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Credit Union, on the road to 50 years of serving our members. Visit creditunion.ky to join today.
Cayman founders, this is your moment to build beyond borders. The Enterprise Cayman Launch Labs Incubator is helping Cayman's entrepreneurs build scalable, investor-ready ventures right from Cayman. Over 14 weeks, collaborate with global mentors, take part in expert-led workshops, strengthen your strategy, and prepare to pitch to investors. Powered by DMZ Toronto, this is your opportunity to build locally and scale globally. Applications close June 30th. Visit enterprisecayman.ky and apply today. Build in Cayman, scale globally.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. We are talking about fatherhood, what it means to be a father in Cayman society today. And my guests this morning are Floyd Bush. He's a real estate professional with Century 21, and Pastor Andrew Ebanks from Agape Church. Now, gentlemen, I understand you just told us what it means for you to be a father today and how that outlook has changed from what you thought it would be to what it is now. But what's one thing you know now about being a father that you wish somebody had told you before your first child came along? You both have 3 children, right?
Yeah.
One thing I wish somebody told me is that, you're going to probably feel crappy about yourself after you discipline your kids, depending on what choice of discipline you decide to, or how you decide to discipline your kids. A lot of nights you beat up on yourself after because you kind of feel, I said the wrong thing, I overreacted, I probably, did something I shouldn't have done as a father, and that is you might have called it some form of damage to your kid by whatever choice or action you decided to go with. And you sit there at night, they're going to bed, and you're beating up on yourself for the night. The next day, you probably don't feel good about yourself. The kid feels like maybe my dad not talking to me today because he's still angry with me or whatever, but in reality, the dad feels ashamed to probably talk to you because like they feel they went too far overboard. And I'm speaking from personal experience. And then sometimes I wait till I'm in a much better mood and I sit down and have that conversation and apologize and say I went overboard. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have said that. And that's one thing where somebody had told me before becoming a father.
That's a great share, Floyd. Especially when you speak about the discipline part, because that's something that not a lot of people like to talk about at all. And, that kind of stays within the family, within the house, behind closed doors, right? And discipline and that's a question I'm going to ask next, but discipline has been such a topic through generations that's been treated differently. I don't know how you guys grew up, but I can tell you the belt and the wooden spoon. Yep. Not a day went by that I didn't see those things. And still terrified today from them.
I grew up on a road with 9 boys, so you can imagine it's probably a little bit more than a belt and a wooden spoon that we all got, because it was either being very disobedient, going on the iron shore, running in the rain when you're not supposed to be, probably got in a fight or two and come home with a black eye and stuff like that. So you got a lot of questions to be answered when you get home, and a lot of times, sometimes it was like the first thing they could grab was
whatever's in reach, the slipper.
Whatever was in reach,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely I had my share of those for sure. But I think when you talk about this idea of parenting and things that you wish that you had been told before, I can't really think of anything specifically that I wish had been said to me before. I've learned a lot of lessons, don't get me wrong. I've learned a lot of lessons, and I think for me the one of the most interesting dynamics has been that my kids are so different. Like, my kids are so different from each other, and not necessarily all in a bad way. Just they have different personalities. They require different things. My daughter is very different than my firstborn son, and my first son is very different from my second son, and they just all have these little quirky things about them, which I grew up as the youngest of 4. And me and my siblings are very different from each other as well. So it's not like I didn't know that, but having to navigate that dynamic with my own children has been fascinating. And, I agree with everything that Floyd said. But it's this component of having, or if I could say it this way, I guess it would be not to romanticize the idea of who you want your children to be, but parent them for who they really are. Because sometimes we have to have a vision for how we're directing and leading our kids' lives. But at the same time, they have their own ideas and opinion. They're very opinionated, and so as a result of that, you can't just go off of who you want them to be or who you think they should be, but you actually have to parent who they are. And that means that you got to deal with them differently. So, there's things that I have to do with my daughter that I don't do with my sons, or things I do with my sons that I don't do with my daughter, or things that I do with one son that I don't do with the other son, just because they're so different. And so for me, navigating that dynamic has been probably one of the more interesting components of being a father.
Do different rules apply in how you raise them? Like, for example, I'm going to say culturally, for a young girl I knew growing up, and she was of Indian descent, and this is in Canada. So everybody had to, of course, you have to get straight A's, you have to get amazing grades, right?
Yeah.
But for her brother to reach that performance, he got a brand new BMW in high school. For her, she got nothing, but she better get straight A's. Wow. So there was different expectations, and the same expectations, but different treatment per se.
Sure. Yes, I think that there's a component of that for sure, but I'll caveat it with rather than an example that you use, I'll caveat it with this, is that you have to, again, take each child for who they are. So, for instance, one child might be extremely responsible and the other child might be extremely irresponsible. And if that's the case, then you can trust one child to go and, let's say borrow the car for the weekend. And so you decide you want to, hey, Dad, I want to go take the car to go and do something this weekend. So you say, okay, sure, no problem. And you'll lend that one the car because they're responsible. You know that they're not going to go out drinking or whatever and, get in a wreck, that they're a safe driver. But if the other child, is, reckless and they tend to speed and they drink and drive and all those kind of things, be like, Dad, can I borrow the car this weekend? Absolutely not. Because
Floyd agrees with you.
Because if you're gonna be irresponsible. So I think just to clear that up is that I do think that there are differences. Now I do think that there's an element of fairness as well. But I do think we have to consider that, hey, what I do for one, I may not be able to do for the other because, for one child, that might be a blessing, but for the other child, that might be a curse.
Great points. And then you say parenting each child for who they are, not for who you want them to be, per se. Floyd, are you finding that same thing? You have 3 girls.
You hit the nail on the head, yeah.
He's spot on with that. Okay, so Cayman, we know it's a very deeply multicultural society. We have a lot of heavy influences from other cultures. And do you believe that the multicultural society that Cayman has embraced influences how you raise your children? Or has it been a problem in how you raise your children at all? Floyd, let's start with you this time.
Sorry.
It's all right. I'm going to put the heat on you this time.
I thought Andrew was going to step in there and grab that one too.
If you need me to, whatever.
I would say the multicultural influence has affected some of our children. Because compared to say when I was growing up, most Cayman families, we only had say a Jamaican nana, Jamaican helper, however you want to word it, and it's same Caribbean background, so everything kind of was in line with what your parents wanted or expected of the nana as well too. Whereas now we have different nationalities on island, and that also you have Filipino helpers, Hispanic helpers, and stuff like that. And they come from different backgrounds. So, they might go to school and hear their friends, well, my nanny does this, or my parents treat me this way and that way. And then your kids kind of also expect, they should also, their friends' parenting should kind of also some form of what exists in their house as well, too. And at times, you have to remind them, I can't parent you, how your friends' parents are parenting them or how their families deal with them. I can only parent the way that I know or the way that I was raised, or based on the culture that I grew up in and what I think is right and wrong from there. So I do think the different cultures do influence the way that we parent our kids. It has its pros and cons to it, I would say. A lot more pros, I would kind of say, because we're more understanding now, more willing to sit down and communicate with our children. Whereas in the past, it was my way or no way attitude, I would say, growing up. And whatever discipline you got, that was it. You kind of took it there and that was it. So yeah, that's what I would say on that part, yeah.
Okay. Pastor Andrew.
Yeah, I think I approach this maybe a little differently than some people.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that when I look at it, I don't look at it from a cultural perspective as to how I raise my kids. I look at it more from a biblical Christian perspective. And so I don't think I've ever in my house said the phrase something along the lines of we're Caymanians and this is how we do things.
Interesting.
That thought doesn't come into my head usually. It's more from a biblical standpoint of we're Christians, we believe the Bible, this is what God said, this is what we're going to do. And so from that perspective, I do see the cultural shift that is happening in our nation, and the diversity that is there, and some of it is good and some of it is bad. And not to say that I don't care about my Cayman culture, because I do, but I see myself as a Christian first. And so because of that, it doesn't really matter where I live. Those are going to be the guiding principles. So I could live anywhere in the world. It's not going to shift what I believe I need to raise my children to be, to think, to believe. As the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go, so that when they're old, they won't depart from it. That's more my philosophy. But, but having said that, we live within this community and within this culture. So living within the community of the Cayman Islands affects my kids, right? And so while I can very easily look at it and say, well, culturally or even from a Christian standpoint, that I don't agree with that, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to follow that, I'm not going to believe that, my kids are much more susceptible to things. And so they go to school, like he was just saying, and they hear things, they come home, they say things, they do things, and it's like, where did you hear that? Where did you learn that? And some of it is cultural, some of it is just the parents, not even from a cultural perspective, just that's what the parents think and believe. I mean, like when I was growing up, there was a kid in our neighborhood who called his parents by their first name. He was from either the U.S. or Canada, I can't remember. And I mean, I don't remember what his parents' names were, but I mean, when he wanted something, Joe, can I get, whatever? Like, he called them by their first name. I'm like, are you crazy? Like,
it's a very brave young man.
Very brave young man. But because in my house, that wouldn't fly.
His parents might have been like, no, call me by my name.
No,
for whatever reasons.
Yeah, but for us, hearing that was like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
It's strange to me as a Canadian.
Yeah,
it's strange.
But so for us, like me and all of my other Caribbean friends that we grew up in the neighborhood, we were just like, what do you mean you call your parents by their first name? And as kids, we're telling him, like, that's wrong. They're mom and dad. You call them mom and dad. You don't call them, Joe and Susie or whatever their names are. Like,
So did you try to go home and call your parents by their first names?
As a joke, yeah. But my parents knew it was a joke.
Yeah.
So and even still to this day, I mean, my mom's name is also Kathy. Okay. And so I'll jokingly, like, sometimes I'll be like, Mom, and she doesn't answer me, Kathy, and then she'll respond. But to do that on a regular basis, no.
Her mom mode was off.
Yeah,
in those moments. We got to go to a quick commercial break, but we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Cayman founders, this is your moment to build beyond borders. The Enterprise Cayman Launch Labs Incubator is helping Cayman's entrepreneurs build scalable, investor-ready ventures right from Cayman. Over 14 weeks, collaborate with global mentors, take part in expert-led workshops, strengthen your strategy, and prepare to pitch to investors. Powered by DMZ Toronto, this is your opportunity to build locally and scale globally. Applications close June 30th. Visit enterprisecayman.KY and apply today. Build in Cayman, scale globally.
Join us for Mango Fest 2026 on Saturday, July 4th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the National Museum on the Waterfront. Enjoy an evening of family-friendly fun with live music, local food, mango vendors, local crafts, free catboat rides, a mango peeling and eating competition, and the exciting mango dessert competition. Don't miss special mango dessert and mango cocktail demonstrations by the Hotel Indigo team. Free admission for everyone. Mango Fest 2026 is proudly sponsored by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage, the Department of Tourism, Credit Union, Hotel Indigo, Catalina, Willie's Fresh Fruits and Juices, and Coriander Farms. Come celebrate Cayman's love for mangoes with us, July 4th from 5 to 8 p.m.
The 25th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts, Hope is Here. Presented by the New Self-Help Foundation, Sunday, June 28th at the Hawkwheel Theatre. Awesome performances by Rico Rolando, Erica Asai, actress Caitlin Tyson, Dequan Smith, UCCI Dance Company, Radiance Dance Studio, Center Point Limited, John Gray Kitchen Band, and Starlight Elite Strings, Michelle T, and more. Tickets cost $15 CI prepaid or $20 at the gate, and available from the #1 shoe shop and Winner's Circle Sports. Talent Exposition of the Arts, Hope, hosted by Anika Jefferson and Lloyd Parker, June 28th at the Hawkwheel Theatre. Gates open at 5 p.m. Show starts at 6 p.m. Part proceeds from this event to benefit the Pines Retirement Home.
Happy 50th anniversary, Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman has been in my life for, seems like forever. I grew up listening to talk shows, to series, and there was no television, but Radio Cayman was there. Radio Cayman has been with us for 50 years. They are a trusted source, especially during hurricanes and other events. Having their calm voice to keep us informed and guide us through major events has been outstanding. So I want to give a big thank you to Radio Cayman, the entire team. Happy 50th anniversary.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about fatherhood in Cayman, what it is like being a father in Cayman society today. And my guests in studio are Pastor Andrew Ebanks from Agape Church, and we also have Floyd Bush with Century 21. He's a real estate professional with Century 21. We talked about the multicultural space in Cayman, how multicultural it is, and the multicultural influences that might be impacting the way you raise your children. But I also want to talk about a couple of other things that might be impacting the way you raise your children. There's a really high cost of living here. It's astronomical. There's a very international community here. A segregated school system. I wanted to say somewhat. It is definitely a segregated school system. It's what I call a segregated school system. And a country that has very, very strong Christian values. So for a generation that is also growing up on social media and experiencing this, that we didn't grow up on social media per se, the way the generations are now, which of those factors probably hits you hardest as a dad, or if there's any other?
Yeah, I think all of them are important issues. And I mean, they're so varied in, you know, some of them are philosophical, some of them are cultural, some of them are financial, and definitely the cost of living is crazy. I wanted 4 kids when my wife and I first got married, and we saw how expensive the first one was. My wife only wanted 2. But when I saw how expensive the first one was, I was like, no, I'm good with 2. And after a while, then I decided I wanted a third one. And I said to my wife, and long story short, we kind of flip-flop back and forth for a while. And then eventually I said, yes, let's go for the third one. But the financial component is a big part of why I don't have more kids. Not because I'm putting a price tag on them, but because, you know, we also are called to be stewards of our finances. And it is crazy what we have to pay to send our kids to school. And even if you put them in government school and you don't have to pay anything to send them to school, you still got to feed them. And the grocery store bill, I mean, I spend, my wife and I, more money in the grocery store than we should. And I mean, it's just, the prices are absolutely crazy right now. And, you know, not just that, but what mortgages are, you know, to be able to house them. And so you do have to factor all these things in when you're a father. You know, part of your role as a father is protector and provider, and you want to be able to make sure that you can provide, you know, not a Lamborghini, but you know that you can provide a good, stable life for your kids. You know, you don't want to be worrying every month as to whether or not you're going to be able to pay the bills and have lights and water and all those kind of things. But then there's also the component, I think, of the the social media, I think, is also a big issue as well, just because of what the studies are showing us is doing to our kids, and how it's impacting them and influencing them, and just all the digital technology that they have access to. And I'm not against it. I mean, I'm a big tech buff myself. I mean, if I wasn't going to be a pastor, I was going to be in IT. So. I love technology. I mean, that's always been my thing. And my kids, they love technology as well. But, one of the things that we've battled with, my wife and I, is even like giving our kids phones, for instance. Because the world is so different, as you just mentioned, than when we were growing up. And so we drop our kids off at sports or, dance or whatever it is they're doing. And there was a time when you could call the studio or wherever they were and get a hold of them. Now, everybody has cell phones, so it's different. And so even though we don't really want to give our kids phones, at the same time, we don't want to have to take them somewhere and leave them somewhere and they have no means of contacting us either.
And not be in touch.
Yeah, exactly. And so if there's an emergency that, I know this is kind of crazy, but what if a gunman shows up out there, has a gun, starts shooting people, and they need to get a hold of us? Nobody's gonna pick up the phone and call us because they're running for their life, right? And so we would find out on the radio or whatever after the fact, whereas our child could pick up the phone and call us and say, "Dad, something's happening. Can you come get me?"
That's what actually some students, some children did in the States, that they had like a gunman come and attack the schools there.
Yeah.
They were able to message their parents, let them know what's going on, or say goodbye.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound crazy, Pastor Andrew, because that's a normalized thing now in the United States.
Yeah.
Attacks in schools.
Absolutely. And so that's, my point is that as parents, we're navigating this line even between what we want for them and what we may need to do for them as well.
Yeah.
Which is a tough line to navigate.
It is, because you don't know. You just don't know if you're making the right decisions here. It's only time will tell, per se.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Floyd, you were very much nodding in agreement to a lot of the things that Pastor Andrew was saying.
Sit back and let Andrew do all the talking.
I'm not going to let you off that easy. But for you, was there any of those factors that I mentioned, whether it's like the high cost of living here, the social media impact on children? Is there anything that hits you hardest as a dad in dealing with?
Yeah, like that. So like in Andrew's case, Andrew has, all his kids in one household. Yeah. Mine are in 3 different households. Luckily, one lives with me. My 2 other ones live with their moms, right? But, managing school fees because 2 of them are in private school. One's at CCC, one is at prep. So managing them also while being able to maintain my household separately away from that. My oldest daughter, she is also at UCCI, so helping her with her schooling over there, whatever, it does get very challenging at times, being able to manage all that. The social media aspect of it as well is very hard because, everybody wants to do a trend. Everybody's following these trends. They see what these other people are doing, some other part of the world, and how they're raising their kids, how their kids conduct themselves, and 90% of the time, they might want to try that in your household. And you'd be like, nah, it ain't gonna fly in here like that, right? Like what you see on social media, that's fine out there, but in this house, it doesn't work that way in here.
There will be no silhouette challenge coming from a 14-year-old girl.
No.
No, nothing like that.
No,
yes.
None of that, no.
All right. We got a couple minutes before the 9 a.m. news, so I'm gonna slip in another question here. Now, the big difference here, you do both have 3 children, but the big difference here is, Pastor Andrew, you are a dual parent household, right? There's you and your wife. And Floyd, as you just explained, you're a single parent household. You are a single father, and you have one of your daughters living with you. There's a lot of challenges there already. What's the hardest for you?
One of the hardest for me was, because at the time, I don't want to put her business out there, but I think I might have to, is when they're mature and they get enough age where they start to become a young lady. At that time, her mom wasn't on island. So it was being prepared to have that conversation. we need to run to the store. I need,
feminine change
yes,
conversations.
that part that no daughter really wants to have that conversation with their father.
Any parent, we don't.
So
you know.
I think they're more easy. My daughters are more open to speaking to their mom about it, right? Like, I'll ask my youngest one because, the other two, I know what's going on with them, but the youngest one, I'd be like, hey, Howard, feeling a little different, whatever, and she'll give me this weird look, and I'd be like, listen, I got all girls, so I need to have this conversation with you and get her to understand, and she'd be like, no, it's like, she'll let me know then. But one of the hardest challenges was, like, being mentally prepared for when that day came, and what to have prepared for her, what to tell her, what to do, and stuff like that, and I was like, this is a time where I wish your mom was really here.
Who did you go for that kind of guidance?
A lot of times. So I, at that time, my second daughter's mom, she's always been actively like a second mom to my kids, especially when it comes to like my oldest daughter, right? So when that came up, I could reach out to her and just say, hey, I think she's getting of that. Do you mind? And she helped out with that part. Or not, my mom's always there. Her mom was always present also. So I had to have that conversation like, hey, I think she's probably becoming a young lady now and stuff like that. So you might want to have that conversation with her. And then her grandmother was also around on her mom's side also.
Okay. All right. So you had some guidance there.
I had some guidance there.
Good.
So I didn't have to panic too much.
But it's all challenges, things you had to learn and go through and do it in fatherhood. We're going to go to the 9 a.m. headline news. But when we come back, we're going to get more into this conversation about fatherhood in the Cayman Islands.
If they are talking about us,
living in your head rent-free all this time,
we must be relevant. Radio Cayman since 1976. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
MPs are heading back to the House today after the official opening of the 2026-27 session of Parliament on Friday. Members will formally debate the throne speech that was delivered by Her Excellency the Governor, Jane Owen, last week. Make sure to tune into today's proceedings live on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, from 10 a.m. In international news, number 10 Downing Street in the UK says there will be, quote, no new major policy or spending commitments made until a new prime minister is appointed. Keir Starmer announced on Monday that he'll resign as Labour leader and PM, but is staying in the post until his successor is chosen. The outgoing leader has authorized, quote, prospective candidates to receive briefings from civil servants on taking over as prime minister. Darren Jones, Starmer's chief secretary, and former Armed Forces Minister Al Carnes are weighing up whether to challenge Andy Burnham in a leadership contest. Burnham, the new MP for Makerfield, is the frontrunner to replace Starmer. One minister says they're backing him to take the job in a, quote, orderly transition. Nominations for the Labour Party leadership open on July 9th and close July 16th. If there's no challenger, Burnham could become prime minister by the 16th or 17th of July. And 40 people have drowned in a heat wave-related series of deaths in France since last Thursday. The prime minister said temperatures hit record levels in several major cities, and the heat wave has reached a peak in several European countries. France, along with Spain and Italy, have been hit hardest by the heat wave so far. France saw its hottest June day on record Monday and its hottest ever night on Monday night. Those are your headlines. I'm Parsley Fuller.
Available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Your Cayman Islands Health Services Authority has been the national healthcare provider of the Cayman Islands for many generations. We have elevated our level of care to ensure you, our patients, have the best possible experience. We offer better access to care close to home with the most locations on all 3 islands, delivering a full range of primary, secondary, tertiary, and emergency care. HSA is a JCI accredited organization, and we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. We are in the last half hour of the show today. We're talking about fatherhood in Cayman, what it means to be a dad today. And in studio with me, I have Pastor Andrew from Agape Church and Floyd Bush, real estate professional with Century 21. Statistically, in the Caribbean, nearly half of children grow up in homes without their biological father present. Now, we're not immune to that here in Cayman either. So what do you think drives that? Is it culture? Is it economics? Is it just people being immature, not being accountable? Is it the legal system? Is it something else that is drawing to the fact that there's a lot more single-parent households in the Caribbean or in Cayman?
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay, there are a lot more things.
The answer is yes. It's I think a lot of times we try to point it at one particular issue and say, oh, it has to be like this. And I'm not saying that there aren't major contributing factors to that. But the reality is that this is a much more nuanced issue than I think a lot of times we give it credit for. And I think, you know, all the things you mentioned, the economics, the culture, the immaturity level, all those things factor into it. I think from a slightly different perspective, I think one of the big issues that we have, at least I think we have data that backs this up, but I think I'm mostly speaking from my own experience here, being a pastor, counseling families who are either going through a tough time or counseling families who have been divorced, and just navigating what I see happening within the community itself and around the world. That I think one of the big things that is affecting us maybe in ways that we don't always put our finger to is the increase in promiscuity that we see being promoted within our culture and in our community. And everybody knows that, you know, it's no secret that back in the day in Cayman, it's not like, you know, when people observed more Christian morals and values, that people didn't do their dirt. I mean, people gonna always do their dirt, right? I mean, we all got aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews that came out of nowhere and just be like, what do you mean we're family, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's unfortunately the reality of life in Cayman. But we have promoted promiscuity on a number of levels where we rarely teach abstinence, we just teach safe sex. And because of that, you have a lot of people who are going in a lot of different directions with this. And because of that, you find a lot of accidental pregnancies and people who didn't want kids that now have a kid and they need to try and figure out, okay, what I'm going to do. And there's this unfortunate component that you were mentioning earlier where you have mothers who are saying, well, you know, I don't need the father. I can raise this child on my own. Well, you might not need the father, but the child needs a father. And that's why it takes a mother and a father to be able to make a child. Now, I understand the nuance, and this is, again, a very nuanced conversation.
It
right?
is, yes.
Because how do you then navigate that when you have a toxic parent, not just a toxic father, because some mothers are not good mothers either, right? So there's toxicity on both sides. But I think from a biblical perspective, when you look at it, there is an issue with fatherlessness in our homes and in our communities. And a lot of the social woes that we have in our society today are as a result of fatherlessness. And we see from a biblical perspective, and even when we just look at the natural way of which life unfolds, that fathers play a very key and significant role in the family, not just in discipline, but they help with the formation of children. And I wish I'd actually looked this study up, and so forgive me if there's a bit of falsehood in this, because I really didn't look it up, but I heard this some years ago that I thought was interesting. And they said that when you compare double parent households, so mother and father, and single father households, that the outcomes for the children in both of those situations were negligible, meaning that basically either a single father raising a child or a mother and father raising a child together, the child had very close outcomes in life in terms of success and what they did. But in single mother households, a lot of children actually had worse outcomes than in single father households. Now, that's not to knock the women. That's to say how important of a role the father plays. Now, if that's really true, and like I said, I really should have looked it up before I mentioned it, but if that's really true, it just goes to show us the importance of the role that a father plays within the community. Now, I'll back this up with one last thing, and then I'll let someone else say something. This one we know is true when we're talking about church. If a child comes to church, right? So parent sends their child to church, and a child begins to come to church, there's a less than 10% chance that the rest of the family will come to church. If the mother comes to church, the statistics have varied over the years. I've seen some as much as 25%, some as low as 14%. But you have somewhere between a 14 to 25% chance if the mom comes to church that the rest of the family comes to church. If the father goes to church, there's over a 90% chance that the rest of the family will come to church.
Those are some startling facts that you just presented me right now, and I'd love to get that research, I'll just look it up on my own and find it. But I was blown away by you saying that in a dual parent household and a single father household, the child will have somewhat of the same outcomes growing up. But in a single mother household, it won't be as favorable of an outcome for the child. That is so interesting to me, and especially in how perhaps we might be viewing mothers and fathers, what they're capable of and all the rest. And to me, I'm terrified of having a child and not having a father present.
Yeah.
I think it is so important. That's why you don't see me with a kid. You don't love me, we're not having a kid, you're not going to love, I don't know what's going on here. It's not going to happen. I'm terrified of that happening. And I do have a little bit of data that I can share that speaks to what you were just saying. So research consistently shows that father's absence is the only individual level disadvantage with significant effects on gun carrying, drug trafficking, and co-occurring behavior, with young men from father-absent homes found to be 279% more likely to carry guns and deal drugs than peers who lived without their fathers.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff I was referring to.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy statistic to me.
Yeah,
as well, right there. And you do, Pastor Andrew, you have a lot of people that are coming to you as a pastor. You're a dad, and you're a pastor. Presumably, you do counsel some people in your congregation, right? So
and the community, not just the congregation,
and the community. What do men tell you in private about fatherhood that they're not saying publicly? Maybe their struggles or what they're going through that you feel you can share without, giving away any identity.
Yeah, sure. I think one of the big things is coming back to promiscuity, that a lot of our men just are struggling with lust. And I have men who are just quite frankly honest, and they're just like, I don't know how to be a one-woman man. I know I have a good woman at home, and she's the mother of my kids. She's my wife. I love her. But, there's somebody else that looks good, and I'm struggling with that. There's that component that a lot of men deal with, and they don't feel like they can be good husbands and good fathers. Not just because of that, but because of a whole bunch of other issues. Some of them have not had themselves good father figures. And one of the most heartbreaking things to hear a father say is, I just don't know what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm failing my family. And I've had grown men that I sit with break down in tears and just, I don't know what to do. I'm struggling with, and again, the issues are varied, right? I mean, some is drugs, some is women, some is, gambling, irresponsibility, they love their family and they want to be there, but they're not going to be there. I mean, I've literally had fathers tell me that, like, I love my family, I love my kids, but I'm not going to be there for them. And it's heartbreaking to hear those things.
It's heartbreaking for me to sit here and listen to you.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah. And thankfully, there's not many of them that feel that way, but still there is a percentage of them that feel that way. And
that's just a small percentage that you're getting. Never mind who's not coming to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll never have this conversation.
Yeah. And the reality is that we don't teach people how to be parents. So one of the things I require before I marry a couple is premarital counseling. And I've had people over the years who come to me and they say, no, I don't want to do premarital counseling. And I'll say to them, that's fine. You don't have to do it, but I also don't have to marry you. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I get people who occasionally will say, well, why do we have to do it? And I'll say to them, well, before you get a car, you have to pass a driver's license test, don't you? And they'll say, well, yeah. And I say, okay, you're about to make the most important decision of your life. You don't think you should have any preparation at all for what you're going to do? Because it isn't just about a husband and a wife, right? Because my wife and I tell our kids all the time, one of the best gifts that we can give to them is that we have a good relationship. Because if our relationship is falling apart, they see that, they feel that, they're impacted and affected by that.
Yeah, hugely.
And so, and that's not to knock anybody whose relationship has fallen apart for whatever reason it has, right? I understand there's nuance to life. But we also can't pretend like those things don't impact our kids. And, and Floyd, I commend you because, single father, and you're there for all three of your kids. And there's a lot of fathers who aren't there. There's a lot of mothers who aren't there. And a lot of it is that they just don't know how to be because they were never taught how to be present. And so that's some of what I just kind of teach. And as a real kind of just snapshot of that, it's just show up. Just show up and be present. You don't have to have the answers. Just show up and be present, and God will give you the wisdom, and you'll figure it out, and you'll find a way. But when you show up, you're able to hear what they need, see what they need, and then you say, okay, how can I provide that for them?
I love that is your approach, to show up. It's not putting any pressure on that father who's coming to talk to you. Just show up. That's probably the least somebody can do that makes such the greatest impact.
Absolutely.
Just showing up. Yeah, that's a huge one right there. We're going to go to our last commercial break. You said so many great things that I wish we could really go into that, but time is not on our side per se. We're going to go to our last commercial break, and then I got some questions for Floyd when we return. There's no more throwing the buck to Pastor Andrew.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Cayman founders, this is your moment to build beyond borders. The Enterprise Cayman Launch Labs Incubator is helping Cayman's entrepreneurs build scalable, investor-ready ventures right from Cayman. Over 14 weeks, collaborate with global mentors, take part in expert-led workshops, strengthen your strategy, and prepare to pitch to investors. Powered by DMZ Toronto, this is your opportunity to build locally and scale globally. Applications close June 30th. Visit enterprisecayman.com and apply today. Build in Cayman, scale globally.
Are you looking for more weekend getaways with Friday flights? Well, Cayman Airways has added Friday flights to Panama for a limited time this summer. They're perfect for short and long weekend getaways, quick business trips, or easy connections across Latin America. And if Jamaica is on your summer wish list, seasonal summer flights to Montego Bay are also available. Call Cayman Airways on 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com. See you on board our Friday flights to Panama this summer.
The Department of Agriculture invites you to a 3-day agro-processing workshop happening July 13th to 15th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Learn practical skills in food safety, good manufacturing practices, and how to make products like sauces and jellies. The cost is $150 per person. Register and make payment by June 30th at the Department of Agriculture's Commercial Center. Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Spaces are limited and seats are filling fast. Secure your spot today at doa.gov.ky or call 947-3090.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are in the final 10 minutes or so of our show. We're talking about fatherhood in Cayman, what it means to be a dad. Now, Floyd, my question for you. You have 3 daughters, 3 different family structures, 3 different co-parenting relationships, 3 different mothers, right? How do you manage being consistently present across all of that? What does showing up and being a present dad look like for you? Because it's a lot of logistics for you to handle.
It is, yes. Especially, keeping up with performances, reporting sessions, any form of we have to go to see the school because something might happen with the kid or whatever and stuff like that. Having great co-parenting relationships makes that a smooth transaction for me. My 2 youngest daughters, their moms, they pretty much, they're the primary person for them. So if anything happens in school, they kind of keep me in loop with it. If there's a situation where I might have work obligations or anything like that, then I'll say, hey, I got this. They're like, all right, that's fine. I got you covered. I'll just fill you in after that and whatnot. So for me, it is definitely having a great co-parenting relationship with their mothers that make it an easy ride for me with being able to show up and be present for them at all times.
Okay. Now, society does have a lot of opinions about a man with children by multiple women. And I'm not trying to rag on you. You are my friend. But I want to know, your honest opinion about this. What has that judgment felt like? You know, if one of my friends came to me and said, I think he's kind of cute, you know, he's got multiple baby
Tell her to
moms.
run. Tell her
You
to
know
run.
what?
Tell her to run.
I'm not going to tell her to run. You know, but I might be like, well, that might be the first thing that pops into my mind, because for me that might be a red flag, but that's also a judgment on you, right? So what has that kind of judgment felt like for you? How has it changed you, if it has? And how do you approach that conversation with your daughters if it comes up?
Approaching my kids, first of all, is like, you know, like, look, your father has made some decisions in the course of his life. Some of them I might not be, I did not think this is how my life would be. I didn't envision this. Well, I'll be a parent of 3 kids in 3 different households. But for me, it's still showing that I'm present. Don't worry if I'm tired. Me and the moms may be arguing or having conflict or anything like that. Still showing up for them is just my main goal with that part, right? On society's outlook of it, it isn't the best part of your resume. If you're a single person trying to find a significant other to build your life with or whatever, it's not an easy thing for somebody to be able to accept. Because then now that person has to deal with 6 personalities. So they got to deal with your kids, which is a mixture of your personality and their mom's personalities. And as well also they have to deal with their mom's personalities as well too. Sometimes not everybody is built for that. Sometimes some people can manage it. It just all depends on the individual. But it's not an easy thing for like most people to be willing to accept, because that means, okay, I'm signing up for possibly a lot of drama. Because, you know, you always hear baby mama drama and whatnot. And I think, you know, a lot of us men will say, hey, I don't have no baby mama drama. We probably done the biggest lady we ever had there and stuff
you
like that.
Definitely are. We don't believe you.
Nah, so yeah, for, you know, just it's been pretty challenging a few times over the course of like trying to date people and stuff like that. Luckily, eventually people, you know, navigate around that and work through it. Once they see that you can handle your affairs and stuff like that, especially like with your moms and stuff like that, and you being truthful, honest, no skeletons in the closet to be hidden or anything like that. And you know, show that I'm a good father. My kids are my priority. And especially like when it comes to like adding somebody to my kids' lives, like not gonna be the typical father like what I see nowadays. Whereas as you meet somebody, your kids are automatically dragged into them or dragged around them, and then, you know, that kid will get attached to that person. When that person leaves, that kid is still remembering like the good that person was to them and whatnot, and then they still want to connect with them. So for me, is always making sure if this is going somewhere, then yeah, I'll introduce my kids into whoever I'm seeing at the time or whatever. If it's not going to be something that's going somewhere, then I don't introduce my kids at all.
Okay. And the judgment part, on people judging you, or if you're a bad person because you have multiple baby moms, how have you dealt with that? Has it changed you?
You know, like I tell people, I do have a past. It's not a glorious past or a pretty past at all. But it has navigated me into being the person that I am today. I've learned from, you know, the mistakes and stuff that I've made over the course of years. But it does feel bad to a certain degree, because maybe this is somebody you genuinely really like. You thought it would have been going somewhere or whatever, and because of that, they're like, no, I can't. I'm not willing to do this.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
And what I know about you, I know that you want to be married. I know that. I know you've got a great heart. I know you're a great dad. And for me, you're a great friend. So you're one of the very few men in Cayman that... When did this happen?
August 25th.
It was an engagement?
No.
An actual marriage?
Yeah.
What, Floyd? What the hell? This is me just finding out you got married in August a year ago? You're supposed to be my friend.
You know I keep my life.
I had no idea. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, this is like we have to start a celebration. I got to cut the show, guys. We got to start celebrating. I'm finding out 10 months later that my friend, that I'm just calling my friend, and how much I respect him, that I can call him when I need something. You know, I need somebody to look out for me. You got married 10 months ago, didn't tell me. I'm just finding this out. So I think that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm very, very happy for you, man. That's awesome. Oh my God, we're going to absolutely talk off air right now. Totally thrown me off. Way to throw me off my own show. Thanks a lot. Yeah. No, I think it's all, well, I know a little bit, but I didn't know that part. So yeah, I'm very, very, very happy for him. So we're on our final couple minutes here. And I guess, I got a couple questions for you, but the first one here is, and Pastor Andrew, you touched on it a little bit. In a world where children are affected by the nature of a relationship between a mom and dad, what's the most important thing that you want your children to learn from the relationship they see between, Pastor Andrew, you and their mom, your wife, and Floyd, between you and your children's mothers? What's the most important thing that you want your children to learn from these relationships?
Yeah, I want us to have a good relationship so that when our kids grow up and they themselves have their own relationships, their own marriage, that they look back at the relationship that their mom and I had and say, this is what a good relationship looks like. And I want to have that, because that's actually what a gift my parents gave to me and my siblings, was my mother and father had a fantastic relationship. And, while I've done my own dirt over the years and strayed my own ways over the years, the one thing I've always been able to say is I had two great parents who loved each other. And I know they had their problems, they had their issues just like everybody else does, but they had a great relationship. And I guess my daughter's probably gonna be there a little closer than I think, probably like in another 10, 11 years, maybe, when she's starting to see some more and get serious, and my sons eventually, when they get there, is I want them to think back and say, what's all the good mom and dad had in their relationship? I want a relationship just like that. And so I want to love my wife well.
Okay. Awesome. Beautiful. I love that. Floyd.
I have to agree with Andrew. I always look at my great-grandparents. They grew old together. One passed away, the next one went after, right? And that's something I always say, if I ever was to get married, I want that, right? Like, for me, that was what kind of, gave me the idea of what being in a marriage looks like, right? For having kids in three different households, for me, even though, I do get the questions like, okay, why you and my mom aren't together. Sometimes I have to have the harsh truth and say, look, at a time and age of our lives, we were very, very immature. It wasn't right for each other. You were being affected by it, and we've got past that. Now we're to the stage of we're apart. For you, we will put aside all of the wrong that's been done in the past, to show you that even though we're not together, we can still raise you in the right way. Be nice to each other when we're around, still joke with each other and stuff like that, so that they don't see my mom drops me off to my dad's gate and I walk inside. My dad does the same thing or whatever. A lot of kids don't get to see their parents still interacting after they've been separated and gone their separate ways.
Yeah. Show us what mature adult communication can look like. Yeah. Okay, and final question. For any listeners out there, any fathers who might be struggling, maybe they're separated from their kids, they're not allowed to see their kids, they feel like they're failing. They're not sure how to connect with maybe a teenager that wants nothing to do with them. What would you say to that father?
Andrew said it early on. Just show up. Even if you're standing in the back of, say your kid has a performance, and you stand at the back of the auditorium, you might not believe it, but your kid is looking in the audience for you. So just show up, whether the child is receptive to you showing up or not. The child's parent is receptive to you showing up for them or not. Just still show up. Kids will remember who's there for them more than who spent money on them or who wasn't there for them, right? They remember the times where you showed up that was important to them.
Beautiful. Pastor Andrew?
Yeah, I would basically say the same thing as, showing up is incredibly important. And beyond just showing up is, don't be discouraged. It's hard to be a man, but it's hard to be a father, but you can do it, and just find some courage, find some strength, and step forward. You might be rejected by some, whether that's your children or otherwise, but you do what you can do, and that's all you can do. And so just keep showing up and keep doing your thing and trust God. I think prayer is a very important component of our lives, and I think one of the things that we need to do is just ask God to show us what we can do. And God is a loving Father. And so he will show us. The Bible says if we lack wisdom, ask God, and he will give it to us. So ask him.
Beautiful way to end the show. It's like you planned those final words right there. I love it.
I didn't.
I love it. It was a beautiful way to end the show. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining me on The Buzz today and just talking about fatherhood, what it means to be a father in Cayman today. I really appreciate it. And hopefully the conversation will help other fathers out there to know that if they're feeling away, they're not alone. And it is important. Dads are important. You are needed. And just show up how you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. And let's go Croatia, right? Right. Today is for Croatia, right? World Cup. I'm turning back to that again. All right, everybody, have a great Tuesday. I'll see you on Thursday on The Buzz.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And Cayman Enterprise City, Cayman's innovation hub. Discover your opportunity at enterprisecayman.ky.
Oh, Cayman moon.
The voice of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
Shining down from above.
We love our listeners.